Everybody, it's the Cartoonkid back again with another fantastic fanfic idea. And today I'm bringing you Night Fury Beyond, Return of Buzzsaw. Now, you're probably wondering, why did I come up with this? Well, to be fair, remember in my last How to Train Dragon video where I said that the second and third How to Train Dragon movie, specifically the third one, had a sort of Batman vibe? Well, if How to Train Your Dragon is Batman, then in Dragons the Nine Realms is definitely the Batman Beyond. If that Tom kid has, Terry. And I know most people don't like Nine Realms, but I do. It's a decent show. Watch all the seasons, every episode. But I digress. Yes. Anywho, story. In the gleaming Neo book of 2084, where dragon technology had evolved into sleek hover bikes and plasma weaponry, a new faction of the notorious SARS gang attempted their most audacious heist yet. Bonk, Wolf, Ghoul, Chuckle, and the notorious DD twins descended upon the advanced Dragon Tech facility. Their modified flight suits crackling with stolen energy cores. From the shadows above, a figure in midnight black armor dropped silently into the facility's roof. Thomas Tom Cullerson, now bearing the mantle of the Night Fury, had inherited more than just Hiccup's legacy. He wielded technology that merged ancient dragon bonds with cutting-edge neural interfaces. His suit's artificial scale was simmered as Toothless's AI consciousness guided his movements through the building's ventilation systems. The gang barely had time to register the plasma blast that disabled their equipment before Tom descended up among them like a wraith. His suit's ring membranes deployed, creating electromagnetic pulses that short-circuited their weapons. Within minutes, the SARs were subdued, but not before Bonk managed to transmit their location to their mysterious new leader. Hours later, in an abandoned lumber mill on the city's outskirts, the gang knelt before a figure whose mechanical arm worked with honest precision. Leonard Byrne, once known as Buzzsaw, had returned from the grave, his cybernetic enhancements more elaborate than ever. His signature chainsaw had evolved into a plasma-edged monstrosity that could slice through dragon-forged titanium. Without warning, Buzzsaw's mechanical arm lashed out, his plasma blade finding Bonk's throat. The gang's members' defiant sneer vanished along with his life, his body crumpling in the industrial floor as the others watched in terror. Buzzsaw's scarlet split face into a familiar, chilling grin as sparks flew from his augmented jaw. The annual Dragon Legacy Foundation Gala at the Haddock Enterprises Tower brought together the NeoBurns elite to celebrate Hiccup's return to activate leadership of the company he founded decades ago. The elderly dragon rider, now confined to a mechanized wheelchair but still sharp as ever, watched the proceedings with the keen eye that had once spotted Toothless in a hidden cove. The attack came without warning. Saw's gang members crashed through the building's reinforced windows on plasma-powered gliders, their weapons trained on the crowd. But it was their leader who drew every eye in the room. Buzzsaw descended through the skylight, his mechanical limbs allowing him to move with spider-like agility across the ceiling before dropping directly in front of Hiccup. The old Dragon Master's face drained of color as he stared at the figure he'd watched die in the dragon graveyard 40 years ago. Buzzsaw's cybernetic eye gleamed with malevolent light as he leaned closer, his plasma saw spinning lazily near Hiccup's throat. The reunion was cut short as Tom burst through the windows, his Night Fury shoots plasma cannons forcing the gang to retreat. Later, in the secure communications room beneath Haddock Tower, Tom confronted his mentor alongside Astrid Harrison Haddock, now Neo-Burke's police commissioner. Her hair was now silver. Her hair was silver now, but her eyes still held the fire that made her the fiercest dragon rider of her generation. Neither would give Tom the answers he demanded about Buzzsaw's impossible return. Determined to face his old enemy alone, Hiccup ordered Tom to surrender the Night Fury armor. His aged hands trembled slightly as he outlined his plan, but his voice carried the same authority that had once united the Dragon Riders. Tom reluctantly he began to comply, knowing the limitations Hiccup's age would impose in battle. The attack on Tom's apartment complex came at dawn. Saw's gang members descended like mechanical ravens, their weapons carving through walls as they sought their target. Tom's girlfriend, Jung Wong, barely escaped with her life as plasma blasts turned their home into a smoking ruin. Meanwhile, in the depths of the Haddock family in Private Island, once the site of the original Dragon Academy, buzzsaw materialized from the shadows of the Memorial Grove. Hiccup sat before Toothless's statue, lost in memories, when the whir of mechanical limbs announced his enemy's presence. The old Dragon Master turned his wheelchair to face the ghost from his past. Buzzsaw's poison was a masterwork of biotechnology, coursing through Hiccup's veins as he collapsed beside his loyal companion. A massive robotic hound named Storefly 7. The mechanical dog systems shut down one by one as the same toxin infected its neural cores. As consciousness faded, Hiccup heard Buzzsaw's voice detailing exactly how much he knew about the Night Fury project and Tom's role in it. Tom's desperate flight across Neobrooks' skyline brought him to the island just in time. The antidote synthesized from dragon root compounds in Hiccup's private laboratory coursed through IV tubes as the old man fought for his life. Storefly 7 systems flickered back online, her mechanical tail wagging weakly as her master's vital signs stabilized. With Hiccup stable but weak, Astrid finally revealed the truth Tom had been seeking. In the secure bunker beneath the Memorial Grove, she activated a hologram display that flickered with images from 4 decades past. The kidnapping had happened during the worst dragon flu outbreak in Neobrooks history. First Legs Ingerman, brilliant as ever but working alone after Starloud had moved to the outdoor colonies, had been patrolling the quarantine zones when Buzzsaw and his lover, Krogan, had taken him. For 3 weeks they'd held him in the ruins of Old Brook, using a combination of psychological torture and neural manipulation technology to break his mind. The holo display showed the rescue mission. Hiccup and Astrid fighting their way through the abandoned settlement while the dragons engaged Buzzsaw's mechanical monstrosities above. But the real horror was revealed when they found Fish Legs, transformed by weeks of conditioning into a twisted reflection of his captor, complete with crude mechanical augmentations and a fractured psyche that spoke only in Buzzsaw's Candace. The battle that followed had been devastating. In a moment of chivalry, Fizzlegs had turned on his tormentor, his modified dragon tech weapon finding its mark. Buzzsaw's body had plummeted into the abyss below the old village, while Krogan fell into the churning waters of the northern sea. The rescue had come at the cost of Fizzleg's innocence. He spent the following year in therapy with the successor before severing all ties with dragon riding and disappearing into civilian life. Tom found Fizzleg's in the communication tower that had made him one of Neobook's most successful technological innovators. The man who'd once cataloged every dragon species now designed the neutral networks that connected the city's scattered islands. His office overlooked the harbor where he'd once written meatlogs through morning flights, but his eyes held no room for those memories. Their conversations was tense, filled with Fizzleg's barely contained bitterness toward his former life. He spoke of nightmares that still haunted him, of mechanical limbs that felt more real than his own flesh, of a voice in his head that sometimes whispered Buzzsaw's words. But his formality denied any involvement in his tormentor's return, his hands shaking as he dismissed Tom's suspicions. Tom's investigation next led him to Jordan Price, a Haddock Enterprises executive whose resentment towards Hiccup's return had been poorly concealed. Price's corporate yacht became a battleground when Tom discovered the man's correspondence with parties unknown, promising insider access to the company's dragon tech secrets in exchange for Hiccup's removal from power. The direct energy weapon that struck the yacht came from orbit, its beam carving through the vessel's hull like Buzzsaw's plasma saw through wood. Tom barely managed to evacuate Price before the ship's dragon fuel cells exploded, the executive's terror revealing that he'd been as much a pawn as a conspirator. In the depths of the Memorial Groves Command Center, Tom and Hiccup analyzed the evidence they'd gathered. The equipment stolen by the Saws gang wasn't random. Each piece formed part of a sophisticated jamming array capable of hijacking the orbital defense satellites that protected Neo Gotham from dragon poaching fleets and worse threats. The revelation hit Tom like a plasma blast to the chest. Buzzsaw hadn't destroyed Fistlake's old Quanko armor out of spite. He preserved it, modified it, turned it into something that could interface with the same neural pathways that had once bonded Rider to Dragon. Cross-referencing Fistlake's expertise in communications technology with the gang's thefts revealed a pattern that pointed to one terrifying conclusion. Tom's confrontation with Fistlakes began in the engineer's workshop, surrounded by the humming servers and quantum processors. This that formed Neo-Bug's digital nervous system, but a hidden subroutine in the building's security system triggered the moment Tom voiced his suspicions, sealing the exits and activating automatic defenses that drove him deeper into the complex. The chase led into an abandoned dragon treat facility on the factory on the city's industry rim. Its conveyor belts and mixing vats now serving as obstacles in a deadly game of cat and mouse. The Stars gang waiting in ambush, but Stormfly 7's arrival turned the tide. The mechanical hound's plasma breath and armored hide making short work of the surprised criminals. Tom's victory over the gang felt hollow as he faced Fistlakes in the factory's central chamber. His friend, for they had been friends despite the years between them, stood motionless among the rusted machinery, his eyes reflecting a pain deeper than any physical wound. The neural disruptor built into Tom's suit was meant to disable enemy electronics, but when he activated against Fistlake's prosthetic limbs, something else happened. The engineer's body convulsed, his augmentation sparking and smoking, but his face began to change. Scars appeared where none had been before. His eye glowed with mechanical light, and when he spoke, it was with Buzzsaw's voice. The microchip behind Fistlake's ear was a masterwork of neural engineering, containing not just Buzzsaw's memories, but his complete consciousness, compressed and encoded into quantum storage barely larger than a grain of sand. For decades it lay dormant, waiting for the right trigger to activate and begin the slow process of overriding its host personality. Buzzsaw's plan unfolded with mechanical precision. The orbital satellite network would target everyone and Tom and Hiccup cared about. June, Astrid, the Haddock family holdings, and finally Neoburg itself. The city had once welcomed dragons. The city that had once welcomed dragons would burn and the fire from the sky. And from its ashes would rise a new order with buzzsaw as its undisputed ruler. The battle between Tom and the buzzsaw possessed fish legs raced through the factory levels, plasma weapons carving through industrial equipment as they fought. Tom's Night Fury armor gave him speed and agility, but his opponent knew every weakness in the suit's design, every blind spot in the sensor array. The turning point came when Tom remembered Fistleg's greatest fear from their childhood, the paralyzing terror he felt during their first encounter with the Screaming Death. Tom's suit contained an audio projector designed to mimic dragon calls, and when he triggered the Screaming Death's distinctive shriek at full volume, Fistleg's consciousness reasserted itself. In that moment of clarity, Tom struck with a captured shock prod from the gang's equipment, its electrical discharge finding the microchip's location behind his friend's ear. The chip sparked and shattered, its quantum matrix collapsing as Buzzsaw's personality was finally irreversibly erased. The factory exploded around them as the hijacked satellites beams found its target, but Tom and Stonefly 7 escaped with the unconscious Fishlegs, their flight suits barely carrying them clear of the plasma fires that consumed Buzz's final lair. The trials of the SARS gang members made headlines across DreamWorks communication networks, but Astrid, its careful editing of the official reports omitted any mention of Fistleg's unwilling involvement. The Dee twins, released on bail, surprised no one who knew their grandmother, an elderly woman whose wild hair and mischievous grin hinted at a colorful past as Corrigan's former partner. In the medical ring of Hatwick Tower, 3 generations of dragon riders sat together for the first time in years. Hiccup's recovery was slow but steady, his mechanical wheelchair humming softly as he reached out to clasp Fistleg's hand. Astrid stood nearby, her, her commissioner's badge casting the afternoon light streaming through the windows. Fistleg's home recovery would take time. The neural pathways damaged by years of suppressed trauma wouldn't heal overnight. But for the first time in decades, their eyes held hope instead of pain. And when he looked at Tom, it was with something approaching the old warmth they'd once shared. That evening, as Neil Brooks' twin sun set over the harbor, Tom donned the Night Fury armor once more. The Memorial Grove's launch platform extended over the waves, and with a roar of plasma engines, he took to the sky. Below him, the city's lights began to twinkle like stars, each one representing a life he's sworn to protect. The night fury flew through the gathering darkness, guardian of a city where dragons and technology had learned to coexist, where the past wounds could heal, and where new legends were born from the ashes of the old. Buzzsaw was truly dead now, but the legacy of those who fought against him would endure, passed from one generation to the next, like the eternal flame that had once burned in the great hall of Oak. In the distance, Stormfly Seven's howl echoed across the water, a mechanical song that somehow carried the wild spirit of the dragons that had once filled these skies. A promise that the bond between rider and dragon, in whatever form it took, would never truly die. And yeah, that's my best interpretation a of a How to Train Your Dragon version of Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. Anyway, this is pretty much all I got for right now, so please be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe if you kind of like this idea. And if you do like it, want to use it, improve it a little bit, all I simply ask is credit for the idea. Okay, bye!